HorsePlayerNow.com's Joe Christopher, joined by Churchill Downs racing analyst and night school regular Jill Byrne. Yes, we are at gorgeous Santa Anita Park. And Jill, on tonight's Night School, we're going to talk all about odds and pools. And the first odds anybody sees are the morning line odds, which are calculated 2 days in advance, sometimes 3 days in advance. And basically, it's an educated guess.
Yeah, it's an educated guess, but has a mathematical side to it as well. But it's a great way for people, for the new fans, to kind of get a line on where the horses fit in that race compared to each other, so to speak. So it gives people a great way to kind of go by who looks like the favorite, the best horse with the best chance of winning, as opposed to the long shots in there.
And personally, what do you think is the level of importance of a morning line? You mentioned the newcomer, somebody that comes to the racetrack. They're having an idea maybe of what kind of odds they might get on a horse. But as a seasoned horse player, does the morning line mean anything to you?
I don't put a whole lot into it because different racetracks, the money wagered into the races on specific horses changes so quickly with the money that goes into the pools. But I do take it as a guideline. I think in races where you have horses with a great deal of form. Now in maidens and first-time starters, I don't put as much into the morning line at all because there's so little information to go by. So I think the morning line is much more difficult to go by in a maiden race or a race with a lot of first-time runners.
I agree with you in doing the morning line for Arlington too, particularly at the beginning of the meet where horses are coming from everywhere. Point of comparison is a lot more difficult than when you're 2 or 3 months into the meet and the horses have been racing against one another. Jill, odds cycle every 40 seconds, and sometimes people get frustrated because they'll be a little bit into the race and they'll see their horse drop from 3-1 down to 2-1, but there's a reason for that. There's money coming in from all over the country. It takes about 40 seconds for those odds to cycle, and we definitely want to make sure that we get the odds and the payouts right when all is said and done.
Yeah, so you may all of a sudden you've bet a horse and it's 5-1, and then you look up on the board and that horse is 3-1. You're like, oh, I wish I'd waited or something. Like I wouldn't bet this horse if it was now 3-1. So it is kind of calculating the times, and I think obviously if you can wait till the last minute a little bit to wager when you're more seasoned, better, because then you get sort of that more indication of what the final odds are going to be. And I think what you see, the early odds, you tend to get what we call smart money. A lot of people who've been paying attention, who are the real handicappers or maybe the clockers that are watching horses work in the morning. And so that's early money that comes in on a horse. And then there's late money, and those to me are the real seasoned bettors, wagers that bet late. So if you're a new bettor kind of coming into it, maybe odds aren't quite as important to you. You just want to cash a winning ticket. Go ahead and bet your horse.
Well, what Jill mentioned earlier is very interesting because, yes, the odds cycle, like we said, every 40 seconds. And you talk about tote action. We say about 60 to 70% of the money is bet in the last 5 minutes of the wagering. So a lot of late money coming in. And at the bigger tracks, the odds are even going to move substantially during those last couple of minutes anyways. And at the smaller tracks, they're going to move really, really quite a bit. But when you're looking at early money versus late money, if you see a horse that's 2-1 on the morning line that you think is legitimate and they open up on the board at a big track at 7-1, is there something called being dead on the board? Does that steer you away from the horse? If the barn's not betting, why should I?
Oh, I think it would definitely steer me away if there's a big discrepancy in the odds in a race of the morning line and what a horse opens up at. Then, yeah, I mean, it would definitely cause me to think, well, maybe somebody knows something. Again, I liken it to smart money again. Somebody knows something and they're not betting as opposed to betting. So I think watching the tote board is a great indication to how people that are actually watching these horses are seeing the way the race is going to unfold on that day, or maybe know something.
As soon as the odds pop up for the next race, I always go through each and every horse, write the odds down, and track them. Every 2 or 3 minutes, I'll write the odds down and see which way they're tracking, up or down, and see eventually where they wind up. And, of course, that's the price you're going to get. Jill, what about will pays and probables? Do you take a look at daily double will pays, pick 3 will pays? If I see a horse that's the morning line favorite but the 5th choice in a pick 3, or I see a horse that's the 4th choice in the morning line as the favorite in the pick 3, that's something I'm going to pay attention to.
Oh, I would definitely pay attention to that because, obviously you're looking at what your potential payout's going to be. Daily double probably not as strong for me to watch what the daily double is going to pay because to me, a lot of those are fairly low kind of reward payoffs anyway. But no, I definitely think it's there for a reason. All the information is out there for a reason to help you calculate your risk on wagering. So I think will pays, especially for pick 3s, are key to watch.
Now, all handicappers and all horse players are looking for something called value. If you make your own morning line and you put a horse in at 3-1 and the horse is 8-1, maybe that odds are good for you as far as personal value goes. Do you set an odds limit on yourself when you really like a horse to say, I'm not going to bet that horse at 3-1 or under, or I'm not going to bet that horse at 8-1 or under? Do you look for value that way?
Oh, definitely. I think as a seasoned wager, you have to look for value, unless if I think there is a horse that is absolute, I know this horse is going to win, I am betting my life on this horse to win, and that horse is 7-5, I am still going to wager on that horse, but probably be using it more in the exotics at that point in time. As just for a general purpose, I don't like to bet a horse to win at less than like 4-1 odds.
If you're going into a race and you see multiple horses in the race and you think to yourself, this horse is 8-1, but I think the horse should be 4-1, but it's really your third choice and you see value, will you bet a horse like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm always looking for value in a race. And I think what I do is I watch fluctuation of the odds. And then with my opinion, after I see the horse, definitely that makes a big difference for me. But it's all about finding value, but not just value. You have to find value in winners. You know, you can pick a horse that's value, but that horse has to make money for you.
If the horse is offering value and it doesn't win, it's really not. It's not really offering value at all. For Jill Byrne, I'm Joe Kristofek on tonight's Night School. It's all about odds, pools, and value.